Alright, stop goofing around. Hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of Book HQ. And today I'm going to be talking about a book that I mentioned in a previous video where I was talking about my book challenge, so it's on my TBR list, and it is Everything by Nicola Yoon. I had mentioned in a previous video that I'd keep you posted on how the TBR list is going, so I'm just going to talk a little bit about it, but I'm not going to go into too much detail because I don't want to spoil anything for anyone. I really enjoyed the book. I read it over 2 nights. I binge read it. The first night I had to stop because my iPad ran out of power. And then I continued the following night and then I was done. And it is such a good book. I think that when you see trailers for the film, they can be a little bit misleading because they just kind of really only focus on the romantic aspect of it. And the book has so many other important and interesting facets. The book talks about being multicultural, it talks about domestic abuse, it talks about mental illness. It also really looks a lot at this whole sort of young digital generation. There's so many interesting social issues that it talks about, which you don't really get a feel for or of when you just see the trailer. So like, it's true, the romance is a big aspect, but not in a like Twilight-y kind of way where the protagonist, who is Maddie Whittier, is willing to do and change, and like the main change and everything comes from the romance or the love of this guy. No. While he does play a major role in pivoting her out of her very closed-in world, he's really more sort of a gateway for her to kind of discover more of herself, and a lot of the decisions she ends up taking are not specifically about him or because of him, even though he's a big part of her life. I also really enjoyed sort of the look at how she critiques herself. For example, when she wears the swimsuit, she's like thinking, like, would I think that I'm too thin or too fat? Because that's sort of what the media tells people to think of themselves, and she doesn't really have a lot of exposure with like the outside world, so she doesn't have a lot of those kind of like self issues. And it kind of, for me, was like a critique on how a lot of self issues people have are actually just like forced on you by external factors. I also really enjoyed that there's a lot of like French aspects in the book. Her and her mom have like a French dinner night where the mom cooks something French and they use like French cutlery. It's obviously like interesting for me because I live in France and my husband is French, so that was really nice. And also like her favorite book being like the Petit Prince kind of also adds to that French element of it. And then I also really enjoyed sort of the writing style of Nicola Yoon because the text is kind of broken up a little bit with like, I guess it gives you a feel of how Maddie herself does things. So the text is sometimes broken up with a medical chart image or a page handwritten by Maddie, or like little diagrams that she draws to explain things to herself. And she's also got like her own little dictionary because she runs a blog where she does book reviews, which is haha, and those are also kind of included and help break up the text a little bit. Like I said, so many really interesting issues that are talked about in there, even just identity issues with, for example, this one character, Zach, who is African American, but he wants to be a rock star and he's also gay. A lot of those kind of intersections in identity are, you know, in the book. And it even looks at illegal immigration, being an illegal immigrant, being a first-generation American. It's just got so many really important topics that it talks about. I really enjoyed the dialogue that these kids are having among themselves. It's really intelligent and sharp and witty. She also sprinkles in that dialogue a lot of sort of mathematics and science and philosophical theory and things. And so for those of you who don't know, I come from 3 countries in Southern Africa, and like we have this expression where when you're so shocked that you don't really have words. The route that this book went down, yo. The book all this time has been a romance, and then it turns into this thriller. I was not prepared. So the only thing that I would say that I wish that the book also had is that at the very end there is a reconciliation between, I'm not going to say who and who, but I wish that we had just a little bit more, just so that we could just really revel in that reconciliation just for a little bit longer. I hope that they work that into the film. Read the book, hopefully before it comes out in cinemas, because I don't know like if it's gonna contain all that goodness. So that's my thoughts on Everything Everything by Nicola Yoon. I thoroughly enjoyed it. And I can tick it off from my book challenge TBR list. It is done. Next, because I was kind of worried that I wasn't going to be able to meet my book challenge and I'd end up being like the mayor of failure. Thanks again for watching another episode of Book HQ, and until next time, keep reading and keep watching.